All right, everyone, welcome back. And today is a special day. We get to talk about my most recent race, the RBC Race for the Kids 10 miler that was this last Saturday, August 15th, in Minneapolis. This race benefits the Ronald McDonald House charity of, I believe, the Midwest, not just Minnesota. I'm pretty sure they were saying it's of Midwest. And please don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure I heard the MC saying that since 2014 they've raised over $1.25 million for this charity. Ronald McDonald House is one of the ones that I will gladly stand behind. I've used it in the past with my first ex-wife and our oldest son. So yeah, props to them. Good money. Now on to the event. This event is on the backside of the Guthrie Theater in downtown Minneapolis. I believe it's along West River Road. I believe that's the road that we run, basically alongside the Mississippi River. Beautiful course, challenging course, something like 300 feet total of elevation, and most of that you pick up in the last mile and a half to 2 miles. Yeah, so I ran the 10 miler version. They do have a 5 mile, they do have a 3 mile. And like most events with the Minnesota Run Series, they also have a kids run. I believe that was like a third of a mile, zero point 0.3 miles, something like that. Pretty cool. Overall, I'm very happy with how this one went. My goal was to run a sub 75-minute 10 miler. My PR currently on the 10 mile was set last October at the Army 10 miler in Washington, D.C. at 1:17:06. So 1:15 is very fast, super aggressive for a goal. But I've also had a ton more of structure and training. Like right now, just after today, I'm over 700 miles. So I was like 650, 670 miles, something like that, going into the weekend. So a lot of structure, actual speed days this entire year. So I definitely thought it was possible. It had to be a good day. It was a good day, but it wasn't the best day. Weather, I believe, was right around 70 degrees at the 8 a.m. gun, but the most determining factor was the uh, humidity. Humidity was right around that 90% mark. Now, I've been running in that for the better part of the last 2 months. It's been ridiculously sticky. Not necessarily hot, it has been hot, but ridiculously sticky this entire summer. So I'm really looking forward to this next 60 days as the weather not only chills out, but the humidity starts to go away too. But yeah, that 90% humidity really, I think, did me in for the long run, no pun intended. Um, we'll talk about paces here in just a minute. But fueling plan wise, I for the most part I executed it as I wanted. I did my warm up in like 9:36. Finished that with about 25 minutes to a half hour to spare. Then I got lined up in the starting corral uh, shortly behind the 7:30 pacer woman. We'll talk about that too. That's a whole little side quest, if you want to call it that. Um, yeah, I took a serving of Nerds gummy clusters, so 16 gummy clusters, and then two of my salt pills. I believe they're called Salt Stick, but two of those at roughly 7:45. Again, 8 o'clock gun, so 15 minutes beforehand. Uh, I felt like I was ready to go. I was wearing my Hoka Clifton 9s. Those are my short race, so anything 10 miles and under. Um, I had my heart rate monitor. My Polar H9 was on and ready to roll. Uh, Garmin was set up with a pacing strategy. And actually, let's show you that pacing strategy right here. This is what I had set up for it. So here's what I had set up on my Garmin for the race strategy. The first 3 miles, I was trying to hold back, and a 7:35 doesn't sound like it's holding back, but as you can see, it was for me on this day. So I wanted the first 3 miles to be in roughly 23 minutes. The next 4 miles, I wanted to be on race pace, so on that 7:30 pace. Again, the goal was 1:15, which meant 7:30. So that would have been a 30-minute turn. And so at the halfway point, so mile 5 of this set, I really wanted to be in that mid to high 37s, low 38s, and I'm pretty sure I was just a few ticks over 38, like 38.0. So, and then miles 8 and 9, I wanted to be at that 7:15, so run that in 14:30, and then mile 10, the final mile, I wanted to be able to empty the tank and try and shoot for sub 7. 650 was very aggressive, but I put that in there simply to remind myself that, hey, this is it. Launch it if you've got it. Send it, full beans. Give it what you have. So let's move on to how the race actually worked out. All right, so what you're going to see here is the splits from my Garmin, and I've broken them down and I've expanded it so that you can see each particular mile. So like I said, for the first 3 miles, the goal was to be in that 23-minute range at 7:35 per. I went 7:26. The back half of that mile is mostly downhill, so I was really trying to hold myself back. Then we do a little bit of climbing, not crazy amount, but you kind of make it back. I went 7:38, so back on pace, and then 7:43. Ended with a 7:36 average at 22:48. So if you really want to think about it, I kind of banked about 12 seconds, but this is right where I wanted to be. Those next 4 miles I needed to be, or wanted to be, really in that 7:30 range, and you can kind of see where it started to fall apart a little bit. Now this next 5 miles are flat-ish, and I say flat-ish because it's rolling. You kind of go up and down, up and down, up and down, but it's mostly kind of in that same area. I went 7:33, back-to-back 7:41s, and then a 7:48 for a 7:41 average, and finishing that 4-mile set in 30 minutes and 44 seconds. So if you think back, I banked 12 seconds. Now I've lost 44 seconds. So really I'm 32 seconds behind the desired PR pace. Miles 8 and 9, I wanted to be in that 14:30 range at 7:15 per, and this is where I knew I didn't quite have it. Again, we're on that back half, so we're kind of in that rolly section. 7:48 and 8:05, I was trying hard to lift here, but I couldn't lift the pace. 15:54 for a 7:57 pace. I've lost over a minute now. I knew at this point that a 1:15 would be nearly impossible. Going into the final mile, I knew I needed to really bear down if I just wanted a PR. And again, my PR is 1:17.06, but I didn't have it. The final full mile at 8:24, and then the last 10th, because the course was just a little bit long, 10.1, not bad. In 36, so a 9:02 in the final 1.1 miles for an 8:15 average pace. The 10-mile time, and you'll see that here from my Strava, was the final time itself was 1:20 or 1:18:29 on Strava. The 10-mile time, and I'll show my PR times here, was 1:17:49. Very happy with the day overall. Very happy how the race went. Like I said, I just didn't have the ability to lift my pace when Garmin tried to bully me into it. I did have one mishap in the race, and that was at mile 4. So I talked about how my pre-race fueling went with the Nerds Gummy Clusters and the salt pills. Everything went well. I was taking my water like I was supposed to. I usually take a big drink about every mile. So mile 4, right around that 30-minute or so mark, I try and take a gel. This one happened to be a honey stinger. I believe it was fruit smoothie, if memory serves correctly. Take it out of my right pocket in my shorts, where I always keep my gels, put it in my left hand, ripped it with my right hand, and then when I transferred it into my right hand to be able to bring it to my mouth to eat, if that's what you want to call a gel, it jumped out of my hand. That's really all that happened. I lost it, and when it hit the ground, I had an instant where I said I need to stop and get it, and then out loud, not in my brain, out loud, I think there's a couple people around me, not too close, but out loud, I literally said, fuck, well, now I have to lock in and really go. Maybe that cost me 15 to 30 seconds. That didn't cost me a PR. I know that. At least I feel that way. I did hit the halfway point right around that 38-minute mark. The goal here was to negative split, so 38 times 2 gives you 116. Still a PR, but I really needed to go in that back half, and I didn't have it. It is what it is. Anyway, we move on now to the standings. This is why it takes so long, because the Minnesota Run Series takes a couple of days to finalize everything. No big deal. I'm perfectly okay with it. But here's the standing sheet. And this is off of the RBC Race for the Kids Minnesota Run Series page. And they are official as of like 2 hours ago or so. Where'd it go? There it is. So overall, I went 38th out of 306 running the 10 mile. For men, I placed 33rd out of 178. And in my age group 40 to 44, I placed 6th out of 21. For the record, and I looked this up to be sure, just to see where I was, to win the 10 mile, you had to be somewhere in the 58s, so sub 6. Yikes. That's crazy fast. I don't know if I'll quite ever get there. Might be something to shoot for down the road. For my age group, to win the age group, I needed to be in the 102 range. I believe he was mid 102s. He had a big gap. He had like a minute and a half gap over the second place person. So like a 6:0 mile, maybe like a 6:20, give or take a little bit. And then to podium, so top 3 in my age group, I needed to be in the 113s. Now, is 113 completely out of my realm, out of my range? I don't think so. On a perfect day, running, with the weather and, less humidity and a flat course and all that stuff, is a 113 impossible? I don't think so. I think I could maybe pull that off, maybe even this fall, if I was to find a 10 miler. But it just wasn't in the cards today. So I'm perfectly happy with 6th. Congrats to those that won and placed in their individual age groups. That is an accomplishment. I actually did that last year for the final 10K that I ran last year at the Minneapolis half, when they have the half 10K and 5K. I think I got 3rd in my age group that day. Perfectly happy. Great performance today. Oh, the other thing I didn't mention is it was a little drizzly on Saturday morning. No, I'm not saying this affected me at all. It was a little drizzly, but it did open up. The skies opened up for what was going on Saturday morning around mile 7 for me. It was a heavy, steady drizzle, and it went away and it kind of came back and forth. No big deal. So yeah, that was my day. Very happy with it. I did fully recover. It was a very good race out there. Next up for me, race-wise, I have a doubleheader they call the Victory Races. It's in North Minneapolis, runs along Victory Memorial Boulevard from, I think it's Broadway to the Lowry, not the Lowry Bridge, but Lowry Avenue, and then turns around. That's the 10K. They have a 10K and then a 5K. So I am doing the double header, the 10Ks at 8, the 5Ks at 9:30 or so. I'm going to race the 10K and then just see what's left in the 5K. So kind of the goal there is going to be probably sub 45, something I was looking for last year. I didn't have the gumption to be able to go get it. And I think I'll just kind of shoot for in that 24s range. I should have in the range of 45-ish minutes after the 10K. But yeah, so that's going to be the next race on my schedule as we build into the marathon for Twin Cities. That's October 4th. I do have one other race between now and then. That is the City of Lakes Half Marathon. That is September 13th around the main chain of lakes. That's was it Lake of the Isles, Lake Harriet, and Bidet Makaska, aka Lake Calhoun. Yeah, that is the recap for RBC Race for the Kids 10 miler. Again, super happy with it. Could I have been faster? Yes. Should I have been faster? Maybe, but I didn't have a full taper, and it was not the best weather for running. So I will take what my legs gave me that day. I have learned a very valuable lesson, and we move on. 16 miles coming on Saturday. Follow me on Facebook, all the socials, TikTok, all that stuff for recaps and things of that nature. And we will see you guys next time.